We are okay, so we are being recorded tonight as part of the transcript, as part of the open meeting laws. So please remember that everything will be transcribed or it will be posted in whole as to what you are saying. Make sure you get your camera side if we're going with full video. Anyway, so on that note, we'll just do a round of introductions. I'll start. I am Bob Keene. I am from Port Washington North representative. I'm also the chairman.
And I'm Sarah DeHonor, the executive director. Oh, and this is the meeting of the Manhasset Bay Protection Committee on June 29th, 2022.
So I'm Maria Branco and I am representing Baxter Estates.
Oh, Dan, I can't hear you. Yeah.
Sorry about that. Yeah, Dan Fucci representing Nassau County.
Christina Labasco representing Plandome Heights.
I'm Steve Kleiss. I'm a guest at this meeting.
Tom Lang, Plandome Manor.
Annie Mendelson, Village of Great Neck.
Samantha Wilder, intern.
Karen Siegel, Village of Thomaston.
We have Sarah and Mary.
I'm Mary Arnold. I'm with New York State DEC and the Long Island Sound Study.
Welcome.
Hi, I'm Sarah Schaefer Brown. I am with New York Sea Grant and Long Island Sound Study, working in Nassau County.
And welcome too.
And still no Jennifer.
We're waiting on Jennifer. I texted her.
Okay. Well, so we can start by talking about, well, first.
Oh, she said she missed the train.
Oh,
and she can join about 8.
okay. All right, well, we can start talking about other things then, I suppose, as we wait for her. I want to share. Okay, so, well, first off, the new logo pins have arrived and I will bring those to the boat tour. They're lovely. I like them a lot. The water quality report. So back in April, the committee approved $10,000 for DeVerca and Bartolucci to complete a 2022 report. And I had erroneously thought that we could just add it on to their contract. So as a reminder, for 2022, we have funding from DEC to pay for our monitoring. We've ordered new equipment. We've ordered all the solutions and sampling has started. And so we also have money for DeVerca and Bartolucci. They did a quality assurance plan for us, which is complete. So we have a contract with them to do that. And since that's all complete, we could close out the contract, but I was thinking that we could
Amend it.
Just make an amendment to have them do the water quality report based on this year's data. But Kevin looked into it and we would have to go out to bid. It sounds like I just need quotes, but I had asked Kevin for clarification on that. And all this came to light just this week. So I was kind of hoping I'd have quotes in time to be able to have you guys discuss who we would hire to do that, but I don't. So it has to be all done by the end of the year because that's when the grant ends. And so I don't know what I need from you, but I wanted to keep you abreast of what's happening.
And just as a reminder, when you do talk, I am Bob Keane from Port Washington North. Just try to please introduce yourself again, as if they stenographer, if it does get transposed, or if it is just the video side of things. Sorry, the audio side.
Mhm.
At least we know who he's talking about. And with reference to the call, or Kevin is from the town of North Hempstead. He's usually on this call, and he's usually the one who helps us the most with our administrative and contractual and legal and everything else associated with contracts, and because he works in the town of North Hempstead. So
So that's that.
the only
Let
thing I
me,
could,
ask a question. This is Maria Branco, Village of Baxter Estates. When you get the bids, could you just distribute them to the constituency of this committee for us to evaluate, or do we have to meet again?
That's the question.
we would probably have to meet, sorry, this is Bob Keane, we would probably have to meet to discuss them and vote on them.
Well, I'm only asking that because they are reports, right? So they're just submittals in kind.
No.
No?
It's a proposal to prepare the report.
Ah,
Well, but Kevin's saying I don't need to do an RFP. He said I just need to get quotes.
Probably because under Wick's law, with respect to the price of the contract, it's probably, it meets the requirements that it could just be the proposals, and it's a professional service, so that has a different component to it as opposed to bid. So again, I would defer to Kevin's guidance with respect to Kevin's going to love this transcript. I would have to defer to Kevin's guidance and expertise. And I guess go from there. But the other thing is, if we do have a boat trip, we could potentially call an informal meeting to vote on anything potentially that would help us to get through the summer, or have them start working or something. And so you could distribute those beforehand, and we could work on that and approve somebody, and then at least have them, as long as we have a quorum on the boat trip, if there is a boat trip.
Well, yeah. Who knows with the weather this year? Okay,
so-
that's a good
so
idea.
the result of, the answer is that either Kevin will tell us if we need a meeting, or we will have a meeting at the boat trip, and that will satisfy the requirement.
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mhm. Okay. The other thing I had wanted to talk about is, so I was going to schedule the next beach cleanup for October 1st, and I would like to do it at Whitney Pond Park, assuming I could get the permit. Does anybody have any issues with meeting at a non-beach location for a beach cleanup? I mean, there's a creek in there.
Part of I think it's sort of an underrepresented portion of us and our watershed. So I feel like that would be, I've seen
We in
people.
Thomaston love that idea. Thank you. No, seriously.
Okay.
Needs a lot of
I
work.
I have no objections. I don't know if we need a vote or not, but
No, I don't think so. I just wanted to make sure somebody didn't have some gut reaction to that. Okay.
I think it's all good towards MS4, and it's all good towards whatever we're doing. As long as we get volunteers, maybe we get a different group of volunteers coming,
Yeah.
whatever we have to reach out to. Usually we get the Girl Scouts.
Mhm.
I think the big thing is, as long as we have the patch to show some sort of cleanup, that's what they're, even the older, girls I saw who came were like still trying to get the patch. So it's a cheap way to get labor, I guess.
Can I point out? I'd like to add to that Temple Bethel in Great Neck. It's always been part of our mitzvah day twice a year, part of the econ cleanup. So I can probably reach out to our social action committee and get them on board too.
Is that the temple on the top of Hicks?
No, we're on Old Mill.
Oh, okay. Okay. So what's next to discuss, Sarah?
Well, we
Great.
could discuss finances, unless you want to wait for Jennifer.
We can do it without her.
Okay. So let's pull up. that one. So I had sent out, actually, let me also put this in the chat. Does everybody, I had sent out a PDF. Does everybody have that, or should I?
PDF of what?
Of our finances. I'm gonna put it in the chat right now. Nobody can look at it. Okay, but I'll also bring it up. Okay, so that is in the chat now, and I will also share it. Okay, so to go through, everybody can see that up on the screen.
Yes.
Okay, so we started out the year with just shy of $200,000. And all right, so the first column is what the expenses or income is. The middle column is the budget. It kind of changes as I figure out what we're actually going to spend and what money we're going to get in. And then the total to date is, well, actually it's the total to the end of May is what has actually gone out so far. So it's the first half of the year pretty much. So our income, we're expecting almost $100,000 coming in, but some of that we have to pay first before we pay first before we get reimbursed from our grants. So for dues, we have all the dues as of today. So the 27,600 actually by the end of June will be at 53,400. I'm expecting we're probably going to pay a little bit more than $30,000 towards our water quality improvement plan, which we've contracted with Nelson Pope and Voorhees to do, but I have not gotten many products and no invoices yet, so nothing happening with that. And then, like I said before, we have funding from DEC, the State Department of Environmental Conservation, to do water quality monitoring. And actually, we will be bringing in more than just 15,000. It'll be over $30,000 from them. And so far, we've gotten $9,000 reimbursed. A big chunk of that was for the probe called a YSI that we'd actually purchased a couple years ago. So we've been reimbursed for that, and then for the expenses of having to Burke and Bartolucci prepare the quality assurance plan. So the next row is salary for me. 42,000 is budgeted. So far, we've paid 16,000 for me. The next category is supplies. And budgeted about $4,000, 3,000, actually a little bit more than $3,000 for a computer, a new computer for me that was approved almost 2 years ago, but we're actually, it's happening this summer. So that hasn't been spent yet, but it will come out this summer. But so far, we've spent $100 on office supplies, mostly postage, $200 for tabling event supplies. I think that includes the pins we just ordered. I think that actually that's all the entire expenses, the pins. And then about $300 for the beach cleanup. And I think it'll be less than 375 once the fall cleanup is done. So for the website, $2,000 is probably an estimate for how much we'll spend, but so far we've paid about $200, and that's for the design software I use for the website, and then also we've got 3 different URLs, and so each year we have to renew that, so $52 goes to that. So for projects and events, I've been approved by the committee to spend about $1,900 on supplies and equipment for water quality monitoring, and actually I've done a lot of that purchasing, which will come out in the June or July month. We budgeted $3,500 for the boat tour, which hasn't happened yet. when we met in person for the Joint Protection Committee, we would supply snacks, but since we didn't meet in person, there was no expense associated with that. Then we spent just over $2,000 for the medallions that go on the storm drain markers. And those have they've all been distributed, and hopefully should be going out. And then I've put money aside for educational printing and software, but we haven't spent any money on that, and I'm not sure. I've got zero for software for this year. And then the CBIN, I was approved, actually, I think to spend more than $1,000, but it should be less than $1,000. And I just purchased like a shed and all the supplies we're going to use to count the trash that we're getting. But as of the end of May, we hadn't spent any money on that. And then our contractual services, for Nelson, Pope, and Voorhees to do the WQIP or Water Quality Improvement Plan. DeVerkin and Bartolucci to do our Quality Assurance Project Plan and then the $10,000 for the 2022 Water Quality Report. That's all out of the DEC grant. We are, instead of paying for transcriptions, we've gone to YouTube. We post the meetings to YouTube, so there's no transcription costs. And then we have $3,000 budgeted for the intern, but we barely touched that for this year.
What are you paying her, like $1 an hour?
It feels like it. And so the total expenditures that we have budgeted is $113,000. So far, we've spent about $20,500. And then this is what so the balance at the end of the year, if we actually do what we said we're going to do for the budget, would be $185,000. But right now as of the end of May, we're sitting about 216. Actually, and more than that now because we've gotten all our dues payments in. So we're sitting on a lot of money, which hopefully after the Water Quality Improvement Plan is done, we'll have projects and we'll be able to offer a lot of match. So there's a possibility, but we are sitting on that. And then there's just some notes at the bottom about money the committee has approved. So it's still no Jennifer.
Okay.
All right. Are there any questions about that? So we started the year at just under $200,000. And as of the end of May, we had 216,000.
I think that's the most we've had.
It is, yeah.
But obviously we budgeted for the Water Quality Improvement Plan, so that was a big chunk.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's start distributing at some point. All right, so after the budget, what's left that we can continue talking about before Jennifer comes?
So something I wanted to talk about was water quality monitoring and seeing how much money we have in the budget is if the committee would consider hiring somebody. So let me see if I can just, okay.
So the water quality monitoring now is being performed by the town?
Yes. Let me share my screen again.
Is there a reservation for them not wanting to do it?
No, I just, so let me just, this is, all right, so the water quality monitoring program, just to give a refresher. So currently we have 7 sites. They're scattered around the bay. So there's Manhasset, or MB1 is right off Leeds Pond. MB2 is Kenilworth. It's just off the Great Neck Peninsula. And then MB4 is in the middle of Manhasset Bay. MB3 and MB6 are around Manor Haven. MB5 is Baxter Estates near where the outfall for the sewage treatment plant is, so the bacteria counts are high. And then there's one not on this map, it's down towards where the Great Neck sewage treatment plant puts out. So it's run by the Bay Constables, and the town donates the boat, the gas, the Bay Constable time, space in the town dock building, not very much, but to hold our, equipment and such. And then Nassau County Department of Health, that's NCDOH, they supply the sample bottles and they do all the bacteria analysis and they send me the data. And then we have the YSI and a SECI disc to do other measurements for dissolved oxygen, temperature, salinity, pH, and then the measures of turbidity. And so Samantha Wilder, our intern, is the one who does that. And I was just at Town Dock today, and the Bay Constable who does it, Mike Green, was saying that it's a really nice setup and it's working well. But I had been thinking about the fact that the other committees hire outside groups to do the monitoring. Hempstead Harbor Protection Committee has the coalition Safe Hempstead Harbor do their monitoring. Friends of the Bay does the monitoring for Oyster Bay, Cold Spring Harbor. And the fact that we're kind of behind on water quality reports. There's also the fact that our interest is in more than just comparing bacteria numbers to the standards. We also want to know more about what's causing bacteria. And so I had sent out a survey in March. We got 5 responses. One person responded twice, so it comes up as 6. But one of the questions was, what do you see as the purpose of our water quality monitoring program? Only one person said the minimum down here, whatever checks the box. But mostly the respondents were really interested in what's happening with the bacteria. Can we delist? Delisting means parts of Manhasset Bay are listed on the
303D.
Yeah, 303D list as being impaired and not being able to be used for what it's supposed to be. Like, we're supposed to be able to take shellfish out of Manhasset Bay, but our bacteria levels are too high. So, so the top reason for doing our water quality monitoring is to document bacteria improving so much that we could get back to shellfishing, and then also swimming in a different portion. There's also more interest in keeping tabs on the bacteria and to find out what different things affect bacteria counts. So, I mean, that is a pretty substantial water quality report. I also was interested in expanding the sites, putting in more sites through, near the mouth of the bay, and just getting a better picture of what's happening in the it's called portion 1 and portion 2 of Manhasset Bay. It's more of the middle and northern part of the bay. Just seeing what's happening there with bacteria. And so what happened was I was talking to Save the Sound and IEC, their monitoring groups in Long Island Sound. And IEC even has 3 monitoring stations in Manhasset Bay. I met with them to see if they could help us train like a nonprofit to do our water quality monitoring. And so Peter Linderoth at Save the Sound was like, oh, we could do it, because they're starting water quality monitoring. And the number he pitched off the top of his head was $16,000 per year. And I was like, oh, that's really cheap. We could swing that. But when he sat down and actually did a budget, it came back at over $40,000 a year. And that does not make sense at all to do.
So what were they doing that the town of North Hempstead is not doing?
Well, it was just the idea that they would coordinate everything. And then they would be the ones responsible for supplying a report, since we haven't had a report in a number of years, because that's on me.
Can I ask a question though? Is that,
yeah,
and not to put Samantha on the hot seat, but is that something that you could work with Samantha, that Samantha could prepare, and then the group can kind of submit as a group, as opposed to having to hire D&B, basically put together some numbers, unless there's some sort of, or at least we could put together the bulk of it, and if we need some sort of interpretation from an expert, we can talk to them, and then the cost might be significantly reduced.
Yeah, that's an idea I hadn't thought of. But for
I mean,
this
if
year, we have
Samantha, if Samantha was looking for time, that's a worthwhile, amount of time that would easily be absorbed by, Samantha or future interns that could easily put those reports together. There's a template or something to work off of. and again, if there's an analysis at the end that has to be peer reviewed or something, we could easily send that to D&B or Nelson and Pope in the water quality and get a proposal for them to at least kind of make a statement about our results and something along those lines.
Yeah.
And
Well-
this is Maria again from Baxter Estates. You had just said that you wanted to expand the number of readings.
Yeah.
Would the current the people who currently take the samples, would they be willing to do that? Because
I don't
it's
know. I
kind
haven't,
of-
I
yeah, it's-
haven't approached them yet about that. But Bob, you're kind of beating me to the punch. So we don't well, these are some more points about why we shouldn't do that. Oh, I don't think we should do that. I think we should stick with what we're doing, but I wanted the committee to consider hiring a part-time water quality monitoring coordinator. So it would be like Samantha, but making so that she maintains the equipment and goes out sampling and to also do the analysis. And I think we should I think we budget $1,500 per year and hire somebody in the $20 to $25 per hour range. I think it would be beneficial. And then we would continue doing what we're doing. As for expanding sites, I haven't talked to them yet. But it's on my radar, something to do.
okay, so this part that says conduct field work and analysis, that number 2, the middle entry.
Yeah.
How is that in addition to what's currently being done as field work and the analysis that's being done by, you said Nassau County, I think?
Yeah, so I guess I meant data analysis. So Samantha goes out right now with the Bay Constables. It's pretty much Samantha's job, but like a promotion, and then putting her on the hook for a water quality report or whoever takes the position. So she goes out every Monday morning. She's at the town dock. I don't know what time, but I think it's pretty early in the morning. And so she calibrates the equipment. Then she goes out and she does all the measurements with the YSI while the Bay Constables run the boat, and they give the depth recordings and they collect the bacteria samples. I understand.
Another question, do we analyze for anything else like dissolved oxygen?
Yes.
Or?
So we just started sampling for dissolved oxygen. It's using this probe. We do dissolved oxygen, temperature, salinity, and pH.
Okay, conductivity?
Yeah, conductivity, salinity, yeah. I usually just use the salinity measurement. But
well, because there's other things that affect the conductivity. So we know what the pH for pure water and pure salt water or brackish would be, but there's other things that are affecting it.
Yeah, exactly. So pH is also a measure of the impacts of climate change will cause the water to go more acidic. So that's why I had put in for pH probe. So if this is something the committee would consider, then I can put together a job description to vote on in September.
I think that's easy. I mean, the water quality is really only in the summer, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah, so that could be Samantha this year or any intern in the future.
yeah. Well, I was thinking of.
Or a part-time person, whatever
Yeah, okay,
This is Mary Arnold. May I just ask a question?
yeah.
Who uploads your data that you guys do find? Is that Samantha, your intern, to WQS?
We don't currently upload data. Doesn't it need to have a quality assurance plan? So this year we could, because we do have the quality assurance plan, but we don't currently upload data.
So that would have been a big difference between whether or not you have somebody contracted or not, correct?
Yeah, so that was something Save the Sound could do also, was upload data to, I don't even know what they're using now, liquids, or they're moving away from liquids and into something else.
It's no longer liquids, but
Yeah.
for the group that doesn't know the weight of data, in terms of how I'm asking, it is what DEC uses as all their regulations are determined, is what I mean by that is if data is not uploaded to the database, then DEC does not consider it in its regulations.
Okay.
And this is Bob. What format are you uploading it into?
Typically, it's uploaded to WQX in that format.
Did IEC also come out as too expensive compared to Save the Sound?
I didn't approach them. So I had wanted their expertise originally in trying to find a nonprofit who could assist us in water quality monitoring. And so in that conversation is when it came out that Save the Sound could offer it. I didn't think about going back to IEC. But I'm starting to reconsider it because I think we have a good thing going. The town's going to continue offering this, and the county. It's just having somebody who goes out with them, with the Bay Constables, and does all the equipment.
Also, if I may, I'm sorry again, Mary Arnold, DEC, just another question came to my mind. I remember briefly when we spoke, when I heard you at this group at the meetings prior, 4th of July was usually a good timing, I guess, skipped holiday because of the Bay Constables. And I know you guys do your monitoring on Monday. How has that developed? Are you still skipping that day, or are you able to?
Yes, so we are skipping Monday, and the plan is to go out on July 6th, which is the Wednesday. And if we go out on July 6th, we'll still be within the 30 days. You have to have 5 samples within 30 days, and the 6th is the latest we could go, and we'll still meet the 5 samples in 30 days. And that reminds me, I have a question for Samantha. Samantha, I got to email you and make sure you can go out next Wednesday.
I think I can.
Okay.
Be good.
Just let me know.
May I also ask a question, since there's some DEC personnel here that talked about uploading data into a format. And did I understand it clearly that if we don't upload data, then the DEC does not make an estimate of the condition of our water? Is that how? What was it? I misunderstood what you said.
Yeah, it's not necessarily an estimate or anything. It's just that's how. So when DEC comes up and forms regulations, they use it based on the data that has been entered into the database. And so if there's no data in the database, it doesn't get factored in. So obviously, you know that DEC standardizes their data based on all of the data inputted. So if there's no data, it would either spike or help depending on the situation. I can't talk for specifics. I don't handle the data one-on-one, but I work closely with other groups that do.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so I think I'm gonna put together a job description so we can, in the winter, we could work on hiring someone. Okay, all right. I wanted to move along the discussion. There's still no Jennifer. So
I'm muted, but on the agenda, you had the boat tour, CBIN dues, water quality improvement plan.
yeah, okay, something else. I needed to vote for it, so yeah, let's skip ahead. So the boat tour has been rescheduled for Thursday, July 21st. It'll be from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. aboard one of the angler vessels, and they leave out of Inspiration Wharf, and there's parking right there. You should have all received, or most of you should have received, an invitation to that.
And Sarah, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Did we invite Mary and Sarah?
Sarah's going. I don't know if I invited Mary, and I don't think I invited Steve Kleiss either. Should I invite them?
We can.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know where Mary, if she's even anywhere local, but if she is and she wants to see our bay,
Yeah, I think it is really good to be out on the bay. Oh, yeah, and there's a new Long Island Sound Study coordinator too. Oh,
I know last time we had some space, so
yeah. And
not
if
to
it's
say
over
that
the bigger
that
vessel,
Mary and Sarah weren't.
well, Sarah can attend. I know that. But
I
don't
can
know.
also attend if you have space for me. I won't fight for
Okay.
any spaces. I'm relatively local, so.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks for extending the invitation.
So then CBIN it's been delivered to Capri Marina, and last I heard, they should have it installed by July 4th. I had said earlier, I ordered all the supplies we needed to measure the trash being collected, and that's been delivered to Capri also. So hopefully that will start happening and we'll actually get some information out of it. Yeah. So the 2022 dues have all been received. I don't have any updates on the water quality improvement plan. I don't know, Dan, do you want to give the update on Line App, or do you want to just say something quick?
Well, the only thing I have to update is that we did submit to DEC the 9-element plan, the final version of the plan. So I want to thank the stakeholders for their involvement over the past few years, and especially Sarah, who helped me fine tune the document at the end. I very much appreciated that. The DEC did respond, and they did have a few relatively minor comments for Dr. Goldberg to address, and I need to address one comment as well. And we need to have those comments back to DEC on July 14th, and I anticipate at that point then they'll accept it. I know Dr. Goldberg apparently needs to add a few maps and graphs to the plan that the DEC would like to see. So that should not be a problem. So we're looking forward to having final product in the middle of July on the 9-element plan. And again, I want to thank everyone for their assistance. And just as a brief reminder, we spoke to Sarah about this already, that there are going to be milestones that are going to need to be met in terms of nitrogen reduction. So we're looking definitely at some public education brochures and pamphlets to possibly be created relative to nitrogen reduction. So over the course of the next couple of years, we can certainly talk about that.
Okay. All right, Jennifer has joined, so we have a quorum.
Yeah, sorry about that. I literally, I'm running down the stairs at Penn Station and they slammed the doors in our face. So.
Oh, sorry about that. All right, my last update was just that the storm drain markers have all been distributed. They came in and they're with the municipalities that ordered it. All right, so we're going to jump back up to the top of the agenda.
Okay. So the first one was for the motion to adopt the April 28th, 2022 minutes. Has everybody had a chance to read those?
And it's in the I think the file's in the chat.
I so move.
Okay, so we
Thank you,
have,
Mary.
do we have a second?
Second.
Jennifer Wilson Pines from Manor Haven. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Annie and Christina.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? And then that motion carries. The next motion that we need is to retroactively approve letters of support for the Long Island Science Museum and the American Littoral Society's grant proposals to the Long Island Sound Futures Fund. We had talked about those in the emails, and basically they were just simple letters of support, which were needed, obviously timely with respect to grant submissions. So we've done this in the past where we've kind of just to put it into the minutes that we've approved them. We sort of informally approved them all before we've sent those, but do I have a motion to accept
I move.
I'm sorry.
Maria moves.
Maria, okay, I'm sorry. I was looking at the agenda. All right, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Tom? Okay, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I need three more.
Aye.
When you're muted, I can't tell, so, and
Aye.
your
Aye.
videos are off.
Christina.
Okay, thank you.
you.
Opposed? Abstentions? Then that motion carries as well.
Okay, so then the next thing is discussing sugar kelp bioextraction. Wait, I'm gonna share my screen again. So sugar kelp bioextraction. Okay. So bioextraction is using plants or animals, so oysters generally, or sugar kelp, to take up nutrients, specifically nitrogen in the water. And then when you harvest them, you're removing the nitrogen at the same time. Well, Manhasset Bay and Long Island Sound have too much nitrogen. As well, pretty much all of Long Island obviously has too much nitrogen, or not obviously, but that's what we're working is to reduce nitrogen. And so they're using sugar kelp to remove nitrogen. It also removes carbon and phosphorus as well. But as you see, we won't be reversing any environmental trends probably, but with the Long Island Nitrogen Action Plan and the Nassau County 9-element plan, it's something that DEC is looking to see what we're doing to reduce nitrogen. And it's something that DEC would approve of. So the question is, are we going to want to pursue this in Manhasset Bay? So this is a picture of sugar kelp being hung out to dry at a processing facility. So what would happen if we decided to do this is that we would have to partner with a marina or multiple marinas to grow sugar kelp during the winter. So the boats would be out of the water, and we could in theory use the boat slips to hang. You hang a line that's got the spores on it, and then it grows over the winter. So there's a nonprofit called Lazy Point Farms who come in to help assist with purchasing the gear and the seed, and in getting us set up and in figuring out how to do the sugar kelp growth. They're just kind of assisting and getting set up, and so we would have to find the location, the volunteers to help harvest it, and there's possibility we might also have to monitor for how much it grows. And then Lazy Point Farms has a partnership with a place out in Montauk that will then, once we've harvested the kelp, they'll process it and turn it into a soil additive. Something else we might have to do is transport the kelp out there, but that seems kind of minor. There are some complications to kelp growth. I have not looked at the salinity data, but we have to make sure it's above 20 practical salinity units, because it's a marine plant, cold water marine plant. The other issue is that due to ice scour and the ice ripping apart the kelp, they have to be grown about 1.5 feet or more under the surface. So the area has to be deep at low tide, about 5 to 6 feet deep. I don't know how deep the marina slips are, so we'll see. It also needs good water movement in order to keep things from growing on top of the kelp. And again, we'd have to find a location and get all the permissions to do the growth. Kelp harvested from Manhasset Bay, because we're uncertified, can't be used for food, but they have been using it as a soil additive or another non-food use, but mostly soil additives. But that Montauk plant will, once we harvest it, they'll take it from there. So the question is this something we want to pursue? So according to the phone call I had with David Berg at Lazy Point Farms, the cost is, he said, very minimal. It looks like it's under $1,000 to do, but there's going to be a lot of work involved. There's going to be my time. We're going to need volunteer time. especially when it comes to harvesting it. And it can be apparently labor intensive, well, yeah, and heavy to harvest. So they needed an answer before September, because I guess they start figuring out where they're gonna get the seed from and who all's on board to do this over the winter.
Maria from Baxter Estates again. So before we can make a decision, we need to know whether this environment in our bay, the salinity level, the depth, the conditions of the marinas, if those are applicable to grow this kelp, right?
Yeah, so before I did all that, I wanted to know if this is something the committee would be interested in doing, and maybe even get a motion for purchasing up to $1,000 equipment. Obviously, we wouldn't go forward if we had the wrong salinity or we couldn't find a place.
Sir,
I think the depth is going to be an issue because most of those marinas do not have 8 feet at low tide. I mean, the ones that were, I know that the ones that we've had presentations on at the Long Island Sound Study were actually grown outside of the harbors. And they,
Okay.
because they needed the depth.
Sarah, this is Dan Fucci from Nassau County. Have you reached out to the town of Hempstead or Oyster Bay about their present programs?
No, I haven't. I've only talked to, well, David Berg, and then Aaron Freeman, he's in Adelphi. He had also offered to help out, but I haven't reached out to those other towns at all.
Right, because they're running they already started their programs. And
Okay.
that's in the 9-element plan as well. So it might be worthwhile. I could send you some contacts, and I'm sure they'd be more than happy to give you a tour of their programs, and I'm sure they could share all their knowledge with you, and that might help us as well here on the North Shore.
Okay.
Dan, this is Bob Keane. Yeah, is the Conservation of Waterways from the town of Hempstead does that?
Yeah, Tara Schneider, I believe, would be the contact, but there's somebody else in the town of Hempstead running it, but I would start with her.
Okay.
And I believe in the town of Oyster Bay, it's Sarah Covelli.
Okay, I don't know Sarah. I know Tara though.
But yeah, so Tara would definitely be able to get you the contact information, and I'm sure they'd be more than happy to set up a tour or give you whatever information you need.
I think they discussed that at one of the joint meetings that we had in Oyster Bay.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
That was a couple of years ago. I remember the town of Hempstead was doing it. I don't remember if it was like East Marina or West Marina and Point, wherever that
Right.
is.
And Oyster Bay is doing it now as well on the South Shore. So I would recommend certainly reaching out to them and you know, extracting whatever information you can from them. They have up and running programs. So
Okay.
And as just continuing with that conversation about the depth, doesn't our harbor patrol know the depth of the harbor in different places? Don't they do soundings on occasion for the waterways?
So I don't know about that. And it would be in the, we would be looking at doing it in a marina, because otherwise we'd have to have a boat to do open water kelp growth. So it would have to be the individual marina would have to know.
Okay.
And I would think that most of the boats that are coming out are smaller boats, so
Yes.
more shallow. So, but I have one question for you, Sarah. This is Bob Keane from Port Washington North. Was when in your presentation and your materials, you said it's not going to really make a difference to anything. I didn't quite understand what you meant by that comment.
So it does take up a lot of, well, it takes up nitrogen, takes up carbon, which is a, the greenhouse gas, and phosphorus, but I don't know how much we really are we're not gonna be reversing climate change at all. And I'm not sure how much nitrogen it's really gonna remove unless we had a massive operation. Maybe eventually we move towards a massive operation, but we're looking at small nitrogen numbers being removed from the water. but
Yeah,
it is something DEC and everyone's interested in right now.
Yeah, I think Charlie Yarish's pilot program was up he had one in the Bronx, he had one in Maine initially, and they put it out in front of a salmon fishery because they were specifically interested in the reducing the pollution from that, and it actually did a pretty good job. And then the second one they put offshore of the Bronx, and they actually didn't have enough nitrogen, shockingly, to get
Wow.
exceptional growth.
That sounds familiar. Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that.
But they
Hi,
were
this-
doing it out in open water with boats.
And this is Sarah with New York Sea Grant Long Island Sound Study. The staff, there's a lot of staff at New York Sea Grant that could lend their expertise to this as well. You know, you were interested in talking with some of the aquaculturist staff that are there as well. And Suffolk County did a large sugar kelp feasibility study a couple years ago out in the Peconics. So there's a lot of information I think that we can kind of use to make sure this is the right choice for Manhasset Bay.
All right.
Mary Arnold, DC again, sorry. I just wanted to kind of add on to that. There are and have been some successful pilot projects in shallow waters with kelp, so don't exactly count out that number and heavily rely on that. Once the data is kind of set and you have a better grasp on all the numbers you need, turbidity, salinity, my coworker is the bioextraction coordinator for Long Island Sound Study, and I would be happy to introduce you and her,
Yeah.
Christine Krasinski, if you want.
Okay.
So Sarah, this is Maria from Baxter Estates again. It seems that there's a bit of interest, and what you were looking for was just a pre-authorization to get the ball rolling. So I think that would be okay, although there's a lot of work to do to determine whether it is feasible, but I think we should go ahead with trying.
Okay.
Sarah, this is Bob again. So it seems like you have a couple questions though. Do we have a marina that's willing to lend us the space? I guess are the depths an issue? And what was the last one? The salinity?
And salinity, yeah.
If some of the marinas are closer towards the, all the outfalls for the freshwater, it's like, I don't know if it's impacted by that or not. And most of the marinas are sort of towards the north, not really, and again, and the deeper slips are probably, boats are probably may be staying there for part of the winter. So I don't know, is there a certain surface area that they were looking for a minimum? Like,
it didn't seem like it.
I mean, is $1,000 for a 10 by 10 pilot, or is it
well, so you buy a spool, and I can't I think a spool is like 150 feet of seed on line. So then we would need to find some way to like grow that across the slip. And I don't have the specific number written down. Oh, 200 feet. And it's a $200 spool. And we would need also cables, shackles, and lines, but a marina might have things to help us out with that. And floats. So it'd be 200 linear feet of kelp that would grow hanging down from the line. That makes sense.
and that's what the $1,000 gets us?
Yes.
So I guess my question is 200 linear feet of nitrogen reduction, or maybe Dan can add to that. Is that something, are we looking at this as like a pilot to see if this is something for a future endeavor, or is this something?
You have to see how it goes in Manhasset Bay, and if it goes well at one marina, other marinas might jump on to help out. Everybody's the marina owners are concerned about the health of Manhasset Bay, and they'd be happy. My impression from waterfront advisory committee meetings is that they'd be happy to do environmental projects. I guess depending on how intensive it turns out to be. That would be the other thing to find out is how intense it is.
Sarah, is the town of North Hempstead on board with this?
I haven't approached them yet either. So it was mostly I wanted to know if the committee would be interested in this at all before I started putting in a lot of time into figuring it out.
It sounds like there's this initial interest. I think it's just a matter of, you've got a couple big questions to sort of answer before I think you can present it to make a vote to see if we want to spend the money, but and I guess for reference to the town, like Dan was saying, is buy-in from the town of North Hempstead.
Yeah.
If they're into it and we've got a couple marinas that are looking at it and we have the proper depth and salinity, then I think it's an easier question. And again, if that could be answered before July, then we can potentially vote on that. And then if they need an answer by September, we're not rushed because we don't usually meet in July or August.
Yeah.
And then we're kind of pressed for the September meeting to make a quick decision. So.
Yeah,
Okay.
off the top of my head, I think that Capri and Lamadas are the only two marinas that might have the depth that we need.
We're already working with Capri, so
Yeah,
it could be a nice extension.
because the ones at the south end are probably gonna have a salinity issue and a depth issue for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you want to table that for now and then we'll.
Yeah, this is Karen Thomaston.
Mhm.
I think whatever we can do that's affirmative, positive, measurable, doable, we have to really try and give it a run. I would love to see this be an intergenerational project and reach out to our schools. Not just a biological, marine biology issue, but I think in terms of engaging volunteers, if we reach out to our schools, I really think we can muster up necessary efforts.
Yeah.
It may just be a finger in the dike again, but if we don't do it.
And I like getting people engaged in the volunteer things. So that's, and I was looking for things other than beach cleanups to do. So that was another motivation for me anyway. And bringing it to me.
I think with non-point source, we're never gonna have a big gun. It's all gonna be very incremental. So all those little bits are going to add up to a difference.
That's a good point.
Sorry, I just had a quick question regarding the winter window. So this is when the boats come out. So we're talking like October to March or April.
Yeah, so end of November
Okay.
they usually like to leave it until June, but since we would be using like a marina, they would pull it out early, so in April.
Okay. Got it.
And I think most of the growth happens January, February.
Okay.
Mhm.
Once it's transported, the product and processed in Montauk, is it given back to us or?
No, I think it's sold.
Oh, it's sold.
I don't know where they sell it, but it's sold, and you apparently can buy it and put it in your garden,
Oh, okay.
for a homeowner.
Yeah, I was just wondering about the Science Museum composting. The Transition Town composting program to augment the finished compost with that. I'm assuming it's a powdered form, mix it
Yeah,
thoroughly.
it is. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Should we truck along to then skip ahead?
Sure.
Okay, so the next thing I was going to ask if we could buy a Enviroscape watershed model. It's the only one out, the only watershed model out there. I've used them in the so I borrowed one from Sea Grant, the Long Island Sound Study outreach coordinator who's at Sea Grant. And I like it. A lot of people have complained about them being messy, but that's kind of the fun of it. But it teaches people about what happens. What goes on the ground doesn't stay there. It travels to Manhasset Bay. So this one is specific to the coast. They've got there's a lot of different things they've got. They've got a boat, they have an oyster reef, like a factory, sewage treatment plant. You can see the farm, which we don't have much, we don't have any agriculture, but it still gets at the idea that loose soil ends up in the bay. It's rather expensive, but I think it's something that draws people to our table. It's also something I could use at beach cleanups or other volunteer events for teaching people. It's something that I really like using it, but I'm a visual learner, but it is kind of expensive. So I was asking for, I think $1,250 to purchase this. And then they have a tote that goes with it, to make it easier to carry in and out of.
Sarah,
$250, you said?
1,250, so
Ah,
over 1,200.
so Sarah, this is Maria
Mhm.
Baxter Estates again. Is this something that we could also engage the schools with, the students? Is this something that
If I do presentations at the library, or but I was going to do a presentation probably at Science Museum of Long Island this summer, for their live at 5 or live at 5. It's the kind of thing that catches people's attention. I mean, a lot of kids just want to steal the little tractor and things, but they also love dropping the sprinkles on it and then playing the rain cloud. But it's a nice interactive thing.
so this could also be used in elementary schools? What's the age level of this? You said kids.
I've used it with toddlers and preschoolers. It's no age.
Well,
Yeah.
you wouldn't use it at the high school, for example, or would it be?
You might. It's a really good visual tool.
Sarah, this is Bob. So I
and
mean,
you adapt the level of the presentation to the right level.
Exactly, and they've got an educational book too. Sorry, Bob.
I was just gonna say, I was doing so many Harbor Fests, and I'm sorry I wasn't there this year, but I'm doing so many Harbor Fests or any other presentations that we've done outside. I mean, the hardest thing is just getting people to come into the booth. And when you've just got your table set up with some papers, and maybe I usually bring a big bowl of candy to at least get some people to come in to take the candy, and then I at least give them a couple of pamphlets. But when you have this, it's like the kids want to see it. They want to play with it. They want to drop the sprinkles. They want to eat the sprinkles. I'm like, those sprinkles are 3 years old, dude. Like, don't eat those. Like, but eat them if you want, you know. But they love I mean, I always use the brown ones as like dog poop, you know. So,
yeah,
and like now watch it go into the drain.
Yeah.
You know? But that's what they get, and it's like, and they see it move down and into the stream or into the drain and then into the water, and then they get it. Oh, Mom, you should really pick up the dog's, mess after it's done. Don't leave it there,
Yeah.
But it gets them. But I think it's just it's just another added draw to get somebody into our booth, which are always so lacking. And it is somewhat expensive, but I think it's something that if it's maintained, I mean, we always borrow the one if we're lucky enough to get the one from soil erosion. So I'm all in favor.
Okay. Yeah, and I haven't seen anybody else bring it to any events I've been at, so it wouldn't be.
Maria again, I want to add that this would be a great idea. And that if we have it, we should expand its use. That's why I was asking which age group could we bring it to schools. Some years back, I would take a bicycle with a light bulb to to Sousa, to the schools in Port Washington, and let the kids ride a bicycle and make the light bulb light up. And everybody loved that one. Everybody loved that one. And but that's because I had children in the school system. And when I offered it to that teacher, they said, "Oh yeah, what a wonderful idea." And then the next thing you know, all the kids in the school were interested, and then the next school and the next school. So perhaps we can engage more people by taking it to schools as well.
Yeah. I think it's a great tool.
And
So
I think it's certainly, Dan Fucci, I think it's certainly justifiable with the phase 2 stormwater program as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'll add it to our report.
Right. which obviously, as we know, is going to be our criteria is going to be increased over the next few years as per the new permit, I'm sure. So that would be just from that alone, I would think it's a good idea.
Okay.
Do we want to bring it to a vote? Do we have any other discussion, questions?
No, this is Tom Lang. I just wanted to mention that not only do you have kind of a trapped audience and an interested audience at the Live at 5 events, which are every other Thursday at SMLI. Tomorrow night is an event. They've got a summer camp program for children of most ages, starting at 5. And at just the presentation of this to these classrooms of 15, 20 children would leave a lasting impression. And they carry the message home to the folks and so on. Kristen Laird is the director down there, and I can give you her contact information.
Okay.
Any other discussion about it? Do we want to put it to a vote?
Sure.
I guess, does somebody want to make a motion to purchase the Enviroscape coastal watershed model and related accessories at a cost not to exceed $1,200?
I will, Maria.
1,250.
That's what I said.
$1,250, right?
$1,250. Do I have a second?
Dan Fucci, second.
I think Karen beat you to it.
All right.
Thank you.
The new people are all over it. So
No, I ate.
all right, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, perfect. I don't need to check for abstentions or abstentions or whatever because they've all passed. So that motion carries.
Excellent. Okay.
Next on the agenda.
Can I recommend because it's getting late, can I recommend that we table the review of priorities? Maybe
That's
I
fine.
send a report or something. Okay, because I wanted to talk about meeting dates. So I tried to coordinate the school calendars and the town board meetings. September 15th and October 20th are the third Thursdays of the month, and those look good. The question is what we want to do in November, which we could wait till October to make a decision about. So the second week of November, there's 2 days off, so it's Election Day and Veterans Day. And then the town board meets on November 17th, which is the week after. So it would only leave November 3rd, because after that's Thanksgiving. But that would only be about 2 weeks after our October meeting. So if you want to tentatively schedule that for the 3rd.
I think we could tentatively schedule and then kind of see where we are. If there's things that are of importance, we can always cancel it. I would love to have Thanksgiving with everybody. I've got a big table.
Yeah.
I'm sure my wife and son and daughter will be like, seriously, Dad, like you're holding a meeting during Thanksgiving? Like, yes, we have to be thankful for a clean day.
Exactly. Water quality trumps everything else.
So do you want to make a motion for those, 3 dates?
Sarah, can
Yeah.
I ask, do we know when the Jewish high holy days fall? September, October doesn't conflict with that?
I'm pretty sure it doesn't. I tried to be
I think
aware of that.
I think Rosh Hashanah is like the
26 and
26th, and then 10 days later is
Yom Kippur.
Yom Kippur.
It's Yom Kippur.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
So I think we're good with that window. And
Great.
I think usually now with most schools in Long Island, they I don't know if they have off for those days.
Yeah, they do. Most of them, my school district does.
So I think then if you want those 3 dates to start with, September 15th, October 20th, and November 3rd.
Yeah.
So do we have a motion to accept those dates? Karen,
I so move.
do we have a second? Tom?
Aye.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Oppose? Abstain? I think I counted everybody as a yes anyway, so that motion carries.
Mm.
Next on the agenda,
I wanted to talk about, so we had talked about buying a pop-up educational banner that we would also use along with the Enviroscape at our tabling events, or we could put it up at the beach cleanups. And so I did a sketch of a couple different ideas, and I wanted to see what the preferred one was before I actually put a whole bunch of time into it. So I'm gonna skip ahead. So Diane Sheehan, who has retired, she was the one who suggested it, and she had suggested maybe just something about us, or something about what we do. So here were two options for that. The one on the left gives our vision statement of sorts, and then has a list of all the member municipalities. And the one on the right, I didn't flesh out very much, but instead of the member municipalities, it lists, well, it states we have 15 local governments, and then it states different things we do. Those two aren't my favorite ones that I sketched out, but I wanted to make sure you had those ideas. Here are the other ideas. One is to have a picture of a watershed, preferably not this one, but a quick snippet about us, the QR code to bring them to our website, but then also our website's at the bottom, and a picture of a watershed and a description of what a watershed is. And so these things are about it looks like the standard is 33 inches across and 83 inches tall. So I might want to get a little shorter than that. So what is that? So 7 feet tall. Seems like a lot, but that's what it was looking like online. Another option is, and I could add pictures to this in theory, but it's like a top 10 of the things you can do to help the bay. Things like don't put anything down a storm drain, take care of your trash, leave your grass clippings in place, etc. And then the last one was just a banner with just a pretty picture and our name. And so I was just wondering which one I should flesh out more, or which two I should flesh out more.
So this is Bob. I mean, I think, again, with any sort of tabling event or anything, I think usually a picture is the thing that's going to draw somebody, you know. And I definitely like the ones with the maps or something where somebody could walk over and see where they live and what it is or how they're affected. That I think always worked better than just a bunch of words, because then they kind of look at it and then just they don't want to read it, and then by the time you look at them, they're drawn in by the pictures. If not, then they're out.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to add probably the same thing, which is that words would have to be huge in order to attract attention, and therefore a few of them. All that you showed would be busy for me to concentrate. Now, you said this thing is like 6 feet tall or 7 feet tall, so it's going to flop in the wind as well. So
yeah.
So okay, so I am in agreement that we should have an image and a few words. Okay, so this thing that has the watershed is fine for me, but I don't think you have to describe it in such detail, you know, have less. And I'm not sure that anybody understands, well, an intermunicipal organization, how many people would understand what that is.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
But you know, you could just say focused on addressing water quality, you know, or the neighborhoods in the watershed, focus, you know, things that are more obvious, approachable, and a few words and pictures. That's my suggestion. And I think the watershed's a good idea.
I'm big on the pictures also, and I think that I agree about intermunicipal, and it would be better to say 13 villages, the town and the county, because that means something to people.
Okay, that's a good point.
And you know, the watershed description could also be trimmed down quite a bit. And then you have room for a pretty picture, a nice sunset.
Yeah. Okay.
I think the map of the watershed really makes it clear.
Yeah.
How every one of us is intimately involved. I don't think most people are aware of really what it consists of. Less words, more visuals. People rarely can incorporate information beyond one simplified page of words.
Yeah.
And I also have found from previous nonprofit work I've done, sometimes Kinko's or other, whatever they are, a local printer will make up the sign and these things, and they are able to withstand the wind. They have a frame usually, but some of your local printers may be willing to help donate this. In past, I know Kinko's has, or whatever they are now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's all I needed really. And so I think that ends my portion, what I needed to cover.
What, I mean, I know Sarah and Mary were on this call. Was there something that they wanted to discuss? I feel bad for sort of if they was leaving them until the end. Or they just kind of seeing what we do as a group. I definitely thank you for adding your opinions during the parts that were needed. But I'll open it up to either one of you if you have anything to add.
Nope, I don't have anything to add. I kind of jumped in because I've been talking to Sarah a little bit about, water quality and the program. And I am actually the chair of the Watershed and Embayments Work Group for Long Island Sound Study. And one of our focus is just working with the municipalities and the embayments. So I'm just here listening in. So when a topic catches my eye, I just join along. So thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming.
Hi, and this is Sarah with New York Sea Grant, Long Island Sound Study. Same for me. Really just here to listen and also, provide any guidance where I can. And I'm also trying to work with Nassau County municipalities. So it's great to see all your faces and get introduced this way.
I'm sorry I didn't ask him. When I used to be my volunteer environmental commissioner, I used to sit and have to wait at my village meetings until the end when they got the public comments for me to give like my MS4 report, the thing that's sort of like mandatory, and I'd wait for hours. And I'm like, I had something to talk about. So I apologize if you had, I'm glad you're here. So thank you for coming. Thank you for adding that statement. And you're obviously welcome any time in the future. So.
I had one last question, just popped in my head. Do we partner at all with our neighbors across the Sound, Connecticut, who may have deeper marinas?
Well, that would then be for them.
Some of their marinas have much deeper harbors and slips than we've had here.
There are people working on doing the sugar kelp bioextraction all around Long Island Sound and Long Island. But we would just be working in Manhasset Bay and deciding if we wanted to do this in Manhasset Bay.
Right, but we could glean information if they've had, any success.
Yeah, and I've gotten some good contact information. Or well, I'll be reaching out to Dan and others for contact information, but yeah, we've got people to talk to, or I've got people to talk to about.
I'd be willing to help.
Right, but the focus is obviously like Long Island nitrogen reduction, not really Connecticut reduction. I know it's the Sound, but it's obviously all the bays and the South Shore and everything else. It's sort of like, what can we do on Long Island that's going to help? And nitrogen is a bigger problem than than some places upstate where it's more phosphorus and I guess, is it a viable program, or is it viable in our bay? Is it going to do, maybe we pilot and realize it doesn't do anything? But I think, as Jennifer said and some other people I'll echo, is that every little bit that we do is sort of keeps adding to the collective cumulative effects of what, how we could potentially keep improving it. Or if we do find such great success that, hey, we've got this window and from October or December to March, we got X number of kelp and it took out this much, it's all mass reduction. And if we do this, if every marina did so many slips, and hey, but again, you don't know until you try. So
Yeah. Were there any municipal updates?
Village of Manor Haven has elected a new mayor and 2 new trustees. I have not had an opportunity to reach out to the incoming mayor yet, so hopefully he's friendly.
Hopefully
Okay.
the new mayor can get that Manor Haven Boulevard fixed.
Yeah, that's the county. Talk
Oh,
to
sorry.
Dan.
Sorry, Dan.
We're working on that.
I've been driving down that and stepping over like the 6-foot dirt path to get to whatever establishment I'm trying to go to.
Yeah,
so-
well, I tried to turn down my road the other day and there was a giant trench.
Were there any other village elections this month?
The Village of Great Neck re-elected the incumbents.
Thank you.
And we also
And
installed,
congratulations.
I believe Sands Point did also.
Baxter Estates has the same mayor and, but 2 new trustees, one being me.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
All right.
So, but we're all sharing the responsibilities. So it continues seamlessly, hopefully.
Okay. Thank you for those updates.
All right, if there's nothing else, does somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
Hi, Bob, can I ask one question?
You sure can, Dan.
Yeah, okay, Manor Haven, what's happening there? Maybe I can inquire about it.
No, it's actually moving along. They've done all the curbing. They lifted and restored the rain gardens that were in place, so I was concerned about
Okay.
that, but they did put back all of the original plantings that were there.
Okay,
I'm not sure what's happening with whether the catch basins were updated, and they're basically at the point where now they have to just pave the main road.
okay.
So
okay.
they worked from the sidewalks in,
Right,
basically.
okay,
I think they're on track. I mean,
okay.
aside from the
Right.
fact that it took 6 years to start it.
Yeah.
Well, if you need help paving, I have a company that I can help with. So,
Okay,
tomorrow
So
night
it's
we
just a
have,
messy project because it wasn't just the street. It was all the curbings and the front
Right.
sidewalks.
right,
Right.
right, okay. All right, if
So
there was
it was-
something,
it was more just a gentle nudge or find what more personal to find out what's going on. So I
Okay.
drive down there all the time and it's like
okay,
same.
all right, if it was something that no one knew about or something I can press
No,
about.
this has been in the works for 6 or 7 years now.
Okay,
It went from a $2 million to a $7 million project over that time.
Some nice tree planters.
Yeah.
Rain gardens.
There's nice lights that go with it,
Yeah,
right?
there's sort of antique style lights in addition to the
Okay.
regular lights. So
Yes,
it'll be
that's
very
kind of
bright
interesting.
there.
All right. I think my family is waiting for me to eat dinner, so I think they're ready to adjourn the meeting. So if anybody else has anything else, I mean, speak now or forever hold your peace, or if not, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn. Dan Fucci, Nassau County.
Thank you very much. And then
I'll
the
second.
motion.
I think Robert's rules tells me I don't need a second, so I think we're pretty good. So
Wonderful.
I think that's the one thing Kevin taught me. So I'll give Kevin a plug before I go. So thank you everybody for coming. Stay tuned for the boat tour to see if we're definitely going. I hope to see Mary and I think Sarah, if you're still there, on there. And I hope we're able to get off because I know we can have a couple quick things to vote. And then enjoy the summer and we'll see you later. Thanks for coming.
Okay.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Bye, everyone.
Thank
Enjoy the
you.
summer.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye.
Stay healthy, everybody. Stay